What's up, Summoners, and welcome back to another RiftGuides WildRift video. With the recent patch 2.6a, we got quite a few impactful changes to change up the power standings. So for today's video, we're going to highlight some of those changes, and it's time for some controversial statements. Let's start with the Baron lane, and first up we have Aurelia as our pick of the patch. She hasn't been touched in the recent patch, but is a champion that has been flying under the radar for a bit too long now. She's an insane champion for the middle and Baron lane and can take over a game with absolute ease. For this, all you have to do is make proper use of minions' HP bars and prepare them in advance. And now you're waiting for your moment to strike. As soon as the enemy goes for a last hit, close to those low HP minions, it's your time to shine. Dash on the minion, get your reset and run down the enemy champion. To make sure that you can do so in the easiest fashion, I recommend that you rush Blade of the Ruined King. Trinity Force just doesn't provide anything close to the Blade's bonus damage and overall utility. It is just a bait, so please never build it. For runes, go Conqueror, Brutal, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace or Bone Plating, and Sweet Tooth. Your resolve runes here heavily depend on your matchup. So for example against Renekton, Bone Plating is insane, whereas against the Jace it's completely and utterly useless. And next up comes Fiora. With the recent changes to her second ability's cooldown, every Baron laner can finally catch at least some breath. Nonetheless, it's not going to be enough to push her out of the Baron lane or the jungle. If anything, it's only a real nerf for her Baron laning power on very high levels of play. Now she's not able to mitigate every single combo the enemy throws at her, which is quite the improvement from before. Nonetheless, she's still toxic in the way she trades, so there's that. And especially once you get to the Sheen Spike, Fiora becomes even more toxic. Her annoying pattern of just lunging into your direction now almost deals double the damage and is done every few seconds. Yeah, have fun outplaying that one. If that wasn't bad enough already, you're in for a whole world of fun once she completes her Trinity Force while running runes like Conqueror, Brutal, and matchup-oriented resolve runes such as Hunter Titan, Adaptive Carapace or Bone Plating, in combination with Sweet Tooth. And here's the full tier list for the Baron lane. Before we continue with the video, it's time for a question of the day. What are your plans for Christmas? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're at it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's move over to the jungle role, and for this role we have Jace as our pick of the patch. This champion is absolutely insane. He can be flexed into 3 different roles, and if you really want to push it, you can even play him as an AD carry. But I would really not recommend you doing so. His clear in jungle is quite okay. He can clear 3 camps before the Skull Crab spawns and is an absolute monster when it comes to skirmishes. The fact that he has access to 6 different abilities on level 3 makes him quite the problematic champion to deal with. Another nice thing about Jace is his ability to choose which fight he wants to commit to. Being able to swap from range to melee and the other way around really grants him some extra flexibility in skirmishes throughout the game. And the same also applies to his item choices. He may go for Manamune in the jungle as well as Youmuu's Ghostblade, but both items serve a different purpose. Ghostblade is about snowballing the game as fast as possible while being everywhere on the map. Manamune on the other hand is a safer scaling option that will provide you with an insane amount of damage once it evolves into Muramana. If you want to play lane Jace, you can almost always just go for the Manamune, it's just too good of an item. And for runes, you want Conqueror, Brutal, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace, and Mastermind or Pathfinder. And next up for the jungle role comes Lee Sin, who for some unholy reason got buffed by the way. I don't know who thought of this, but seriously please don't do this to us. Some champions are literally not designed to have high win rates in certain elo brackets, so you just cannot enforce a 50% win rate on all of those champions in the lower elo bracket. That's not how it's supposed to be. Anyway, Lee Sin has been a monster in the jungle for quite some time now. He is healthy in the jungle clear and overbearing in terms of presence throughout the early game. Seeing him on the enemy team basically means that you're not allowed to play aggressive during the early game unless you secure certain wards. However, getting those wards down is a risk already, so yeah, here we are, and even worse is the combination of items and runes Lee Sin can go for. If he rushes a Youmuu's Ghostblade, he'll be all over the map and terrorize every lane at the same time. While Conqueror, Brutal, Hunter Titan, Adaptive Carapace, Mastermind or Pathfinder grant him the additional power he wants to snowball every single game. And here's the full tier list for the jungle role. Next up comes our pick of the patch for the mid lane. Here we have Diana for you. She's an insane champion that has been picked or banned in most of the tournaments throughout WildRift's competitive history. But what makes her so strong in comparison to other mid laners? Two things. First, it's an insane amount of mobility combined with the damage she deals while being so agile. Second, her tankiness is simply absurd for a so-called assassin mage. Rod of Ages and her second ability just grant her too much, and therefore she gets away with murder way too many times. Fortunately though, we saw some nerfs to the Rod of Ages as it was really overtuned for its price tag. Nonetheless, it's still an insane item that will always provide the champions that love the item with more than enough value. So whenever you're going to play Diana, please buy Rod of Ages and you'll be more than happy. And for runes, just go Conqueror, Brutal, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace with Sweet Tooth. You can never complain with this combination. For our next champion on the middle lane, we have Akshan. In the recent patch, he's lost 6 AD and some damage on his first ability, so he isn't as overbearing as before anymore. Just joking, he is still a true pain for all mid laners next to Zed of course. He almost always has agency in lane, and the ability to camouflage himself in order to rotate to other lanes make him a true menace for a solo queue environment. I bet most of you remember when Evelynn was permanently picked and everybody hated it. You would never really know if she was around or not, and the moment you find out, it's already too late. And the same goes for Akshan, as he can lurk up to you and then swing in for a glorious execution. Once he gets someone killed, he can just swing again and your team is in a whole new world of trouble. Oh, and did I mention that he can use his ultimate ability while he's swinging around? Yeah, it's really fun and I just love this champion. And for your first item, you want to always, without a single doubt on my mind, go for Blade of the Ruined King. Thanks to your double on-hit mechanic and your third ability's on-hit conversion, it's just too insane of an item. In the rune department, just go for Conqueror, Brutal, Hunter Titan, Adaptive Carapace and Sweet Tooth. With those runes, you'll most likely have the highest success rate. And here is our entire tier list for the middle lane. With the mid lane done, we are now moving over to the AD carries, and in the AD carry role we start with another recently buffed champion, Kai'Sa. This champion wasn't necessarily weak at all, but as it is now, a lot of AD carries feel rather weak when mages dominate the dragon lane. The main issues with those mages in the dragon lane is their ability to wave clear from relative safety. Consequently, the most snowball heavy AD carries will find it hard to abuse those mages in lane. Especially once the mages get their first recall in, it usually looks very dire for a conventional AD carry. Unless the enemy makes a mistake, of course. Luckily though, Kai'Sa is a different type of champion. She has the ability to instantly kill waves and camps all around the map thanks to her empowered first ability. With that, she has one certain goal: get as fat as possible, as fast as possible. In addition to that, she also features quite the unique traits no other AD carry can display. Here, I'm talking about her mobility during a fight and a single target burst on squishy champions with an isolated Icathian Rain. And for the Icathian Rain, we obviously got you covered as well. For this champion, you won't receive a one item suggestion. You'll be getting something even better: the fastest way to your first ability's evolve. For that, rush BF Sword, Executioner's Calling and a Longsword. For runes, take Conqueror, Vampirism, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace paired with Sweet Tooth. Luckily for you though, next to Kai'Sa we have a champion that can take care of those pesky mages and is really annoying to deal with overall. He's also flexible in the sense that he's able to either go full AP or lethality. And what exactly is the issue with this champion? It's about his capacity to influence fights from outside of your field of vision. At the same time, he is also able to one-shot a tank with thousands of HP from 100 to 0. And I'm also pretty confident that any dragon laner hates playing against Varus in any scenario, as he makes lane a living hell thanks to his poke. But there are also a few things you have to consider when you want to pick Varus. Your champion is absolutely immobile and an easy target. Therefore, smart positioning and vision around you is something that you most desperately need. As long as you see the enemy in front of you, they are nothing but walking targets. But if they happen to get the jump on you, you barely have any tools to save yourself when things go too fast. And now let's briefly talk about his best first item with the lethality build. Here we have Mana Muni as the best possible option for his insane AD value in combination with the massive amount of mana. For runes, take Conqueror or Airy, both work fine depending on what you want to do. For the other runes, Brutal, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace in combination with Sweet Tooth. And here is our entire tier list for the AD carry position. Now, last but not least, let's move over to the support role, and here we have Alistair as our pick of the patch for you. He's quite the durable cow and has been forgotten as a champion due to nerfs in the past. What people didn't think about though is that his tankiness is still absolutely absurd. And he's also able to solo kill any AD carry apart from a Vayne thanks to his insane damage. Things also get really funny when you complete your Sunfire Cape on this champion. It's just crazy in terms of damage. But for the item we recommend you, we have a Deadman's Plate as your first item, so you're able to influence the map as soon as possible. Afterwards you can potentially build the item we just suggested, but it's up to you. For runes, you want to take Aftershock, Weakness, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace, and Pathfinder or Pack Hunter. To add some variety to the mix, we also have a Broken Enchanter support for you. In the not so distant past, she has received a minor nerf which overall didn't do anything to her apart from slapping a nerfed label onto her forehead. Believe me, Nami is still strong in all ways you can imagine. She also features something most Enchanter supports don't: the ability to engage a fight from very far away without putting herself at risk. While doing so, she offers also a dominant laning phase as well as a lot of tools to disrupt the enemy team constantly. And if that wasn't enough, she's also able to heal her allies. Doing so though costs a lot of mana, so we gotta be a little bit careful on that end, but if we are struggling a lot with our resources, we may as well go for a Staff of Flowing Water. If on the other hand mana isn't a problem, we can just go for Ardent Censer as a valid alternative. For runes, we want Airy, Weakness, Hunter Titan or Adaptive Carapace in combination with Mana Flow to make sure we have all the mana we need. And here is our entire tier list for the support role. And that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more RiftGuides content in the future. Catch you later.